Greetings, one and all. This is Dr. Jonathan Ellerby with another live 12 at 12 in the worldwide Wake Up. If you haven't been here before, feel free to check out my website. I'm going to be offering some free stuff this week, including a free copy of my new book, Spiritual Experience. Let's face it, most of you are at home, and there's tons of stuff that people are teaching. I'm just one of thousands, but it's a pretty fun, interesting, and transformative read. You can download it. It's a free download, and I think it'll help put life in a new perspective. So I'm going to be talking about that all week. If you want to learn more, again, just go to my website, jonathanellerby.com. Also, I'm going to start doing a new experiment. We have the 12 at 12 at noon here every day, Denver Mountain Time. And I'm going to start doing 8 minutes at 8 o'clock at night, and we're just going to pray. That's it. It's just wherever you are, you can stop what you're doing, tune in, be with a group of people, and we're just going to center our hearts and minds in positive energy, positive thoughts, positive feelings, and sending out a loving vibration for the world and what it's going through right now. In light of that, what I wanted to do today is talk about prayer. You know, why pray? What is prayer? Who prays? Now, this could easily be an hour-long class or something you take a course on over a weekend. People spend their whole lives developing a relationship to prayer. But I'm going to see if I can give you a crash course in prayer in about 10 minutes. And I wanted to start off, interestingly, by a reading. It's a pretty long reading, actually, and it's by Jane Goodall, a scientist. So not someone who you would think of when you think of prayer, but I think this is a great way to set the stage for our conversation today. So I'm going to invite you to take a breath. Big sigh. Let your eyes close. And then feel yourself just connecting with the stillness and the silence that you carry. Stillness and silence, just connecting. The moment of freedom from thought and emotion, just paying attention to stillness and silence as we listen to this beautiful reading and begin to open our hearts and minds to a new understanding of prayer. I pray to the great spiritual power in which I live and move and have my being. I pray to God. I pray that we may at all times keep our minds open to new ideas and shun dogma, that we may grow in our understanding of the nature of all living beings and our interconnectedness with the natural world, that we may become ever more filled with generosity of spirit and true compassion and love for all life, that we may strive to heal the hurts that we have inflicted on nature and control our greed for material things, knowing that our actions are harming our natural world, that we may value each and every human being for who he or she is, reaching to the spirit that is within, knowing the power of each individual to change the world. I pray that we may learn the peace that comes with forgiving and the strength we may gain in loving, that we may learn to take nothing for granted in this life, that we may learn to see and understand with our hearts, that we may learn to join in our being. I pray for these things with humility. I pray because of the hope that is within me and because of my faith in the ultimate triumph of the human spirit. I pray because of my love for creation and because of my trust in God. I pray above all for peace throughout the world. So a lot of us have a complex relationship to the word prayer because either we've been given a narrow experience of it or we've never been given much of an education about prayer at all. Now, in the book, Return to the Sacred, I have a copy of that here. In Return to the Sacred, this is probably backwards, I have a whole chapter about prayer. But in a nutshell, we have to understand that prayer is a practice that anyone can engage, even if they're atheistic. Prayer is not necessarily associated with religion. Prayer is about a kind of intentional, intense, and intimate dialogue with the ultimate nature of reality. Prayer is a personal, intimate, intense dialogue with the ultimate nature of being. So if, for example, you believe in, or your worldview or your upbringing, culture is let's say Christian or a Judeo-Christian tradition, and you think of God as a being or a person, then you talk to God. Prayer is talking to God from your heart, and you call God as you know God. Don't make it something fancy or weird that you don't relate to, but you think it sounds good. It comes from the heart. If the name for God is God, call it God. If the name for God is Allah, it's Allah. If it's Jesus, it's Jesus. If it's Krishna, it's Krishna. Prayer is your own intimate dialogue with the ultimate nature of being, with pure existence, with our source, creator, great mystery, whatever you want. So first, engage language that is meaningful to you. Second, engage format that's meaningful to you. So if a prescribed prayer, as we find in Judaism and Christianity and so many other traditions, is what's comfortable for you, and it invokes an actual connection to your heart, and you feel centered and still because of it, while you do it, you feel it's what you want to say and how you want to be heard in the resonance of the universe, then do that. Just say the thing you know. But make it a practice. That means you set aside time consciously to do it. So you do it in the morning. Do it before bed. Do it in the middle of the day. Or, as we are taught by the Islamic tradition, do it 5 times a day. Make it regular, make it purposeful, and don't do it just because you feel like it. Do it because it's a commitment. The commitment to create a time of prayer in your life brings a power to the prayer that just doing it when you're in trouble, or you need a parking spot, or you're feeling sick, or things are going well, that's, I don't know, that's tapping into a very conditional part of who you are. So when you pray, you want to do it from a place that is very deeply feeling, very deeply rooted, and very quiet. What I recommend with whatever form of prayer you choose is you start by centering, silence, stillness, breath. Then when you feel you can really connect with your heart and get rid of the distractions of the mind, pick up your prayer format, your prayer tool or vehicle. So again, this could be something you've been taught, growing up. This could be a part of a tradition you've come to know. This could also be a reading. So for example, I love books like this, Prayers for 1,000 Years. It's an older book. Yes, I know it's backwards. But there's all kinds of beautiful prayer collection books, and I just can't recommend them highly enough. A lot of them are actually broken down into a calendar year, and there's a prayer per day. But the idea in this form of prayer is that you'd find your time, create your stillness, then take your written prayer by someone else and read it. maybe read it twice. Maybe read it once out loud. Maybe read it once quietly, and then sit with it. An important part of prayer that a lot of people forget is feeling the prayer and taking time to listen after the prayer. It's really incomplete if you just sit down, do a quick reading, and go. Sit down, Hail Mary, I'm out of here. I don't really know what that is, but to me that's not really prayer. Prayer has to feel personal, intimate, coming from some core dimension of who you are, and with a sense of purpose, a sense of faith, for lack of a better word, maybe trust, shining that energy out into the universe. Now, we have prescribed prayer, we have pre-written prayer, and then we have prayer that just comes from the heart, talking to God, talking to Spirit, talking to whatever. And that means that your prayer is just whatever is truly on your mind and in your heart. And you have to imagine from the core of your being, is this what I want the universe to record? If this could be radiated throughout the universe or returned back to me, is the moment, the words, the presence, the sincerity, is it all there? Now, it's also too important as we talk about, more personalized prayer to consider the nuances of asking for things, petitionary prayer, from a gratitude-focused prayer or an affirmative prayer. So keep that in mind as you work with prayer on your own. Petitionary prayer is, Dear God, life's really hard right now. Can you give me this? Can you give me that? And those sorts of things. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't call on angels and ancestors and God for help. Absolutely, I think that's fine. But again, it's got to be in the context of a consciousness that is grateful, that is quiet, that is willing to learn and listen and let go of whatever it is we think we need, and conclude with a kind of intention that's something like, Thy will be done. So you can start with what you need. Personally, I think it's good to start with gratitude. Thank you for this day. Thank you for this life. Thank you for whatever I've got. And it doesn't matter, again, you could just be talking to the universe. You could be talking to yourself. You could be talking to God. But whatever you think it is, it's ultimately out there, even if it's just life. You start by connecting with the feeling of gratitude, the perspective of gratitude, and open up that learning, loving, letting go quality in yourself. Then you could move into some kind of a dialogue around what you need or want. Most people want to do that. And then you move to something like an affirmation. Affirmative prayers can really be one of two things. One, it's looking at the thing that you want, but stating it as though it were happening, right? I am in perfect health. I am receiving abundance. I am united with God. I am fulfilled and connected. And for many people, that's a powerful form of prayer. For some people, if that's not what you're familiar with, it can feel somewhat disingenuous or dishonest. All I'm saying is, whatever you pick up, it's got to feel powerful to you, even if you're feeling a little awkward at first. Make it your own. And then remember, with your own personal prayer, there is gratitude, petition, and affirmation. Another way to work with affirmation might not be affirming what you want, kind of like the whole, The Secret and all that stuff. But it might be just affirming the way of being that you want to resonate in your life. So it could be, Dear God, thank you for the beauty that is all around me. Thank you for the helpers that are everywhere. Thank you for the abundance that returns even in times of despair. So it's saying what is. It's strengthening what you want to see, what you might be seeing only a little bit of, but you're making it the center of your awareness. So, we're out of time, but that's a crash course in prayerfulness. To close, what I want to say is that if nothing else, prayer is like a quick attitude adjustment. When you're struggling with something in the mind and you move it into your prayer, then what happens is that becomes a transformed relationship. To pray for things you don't like, for people you don't like, is not only to potentiate the possible power of the energy of the universe to work with you, but let's face it, it's to give yourself a new perspective, one that is kinder, more patient, more understanding, and more hopeful. So, tonight, 8 p.m. Mountain Time, Colorado, wherever you are in the world, come join me. Probably it'll be a few more minutes than 8, just like my 12 is always a few more minutes than 12, but it won't be longer than 10, so we can stop what we're doing, we can slow down, and instead of getting into a dialogue or an explanation, we're just going to be in a heart-centered consciousness that is loving, affirmative, and calling in the power of life and spirit for each and everyone. Thank you once again for being with me. If you enjoyed this or found it helpful, please share it. And I guess I'll see you later. Bye-bye.